Cinema 4D Lite adds true 3D to your motion graphics projects. But what you might not know is that you can actually use Cinema 4D Lite to simulate 2D graphics while using 3D elements. We'll start with a simple line graph we created in Illustrator. Now we're going to start with our Illustrator file here because this is the file that I'll use to create our 3D geometry in Cinema 4D a little while later. But first, what I need to do is optimize this Illustrator file for Cinema 4D. So let's make sure we're in our Essentials workspace and reset the workspace if it still doesn't look kind of like this. Let's go down to the bottom tool here, or the second to bottom tool, and click, and that'll pull up my layers. I want to click on the Layers tab and just drag it up out of the way, and I can collapse my artboards here and just make my layers take up a fair amount of space. Okay, if we open up the chart here, you'll see I've got a graph that's a group. So what I need to do is just click on the selection circle for the chart layer and go up under Object and choose Ungroup. It's going to tell me I can no longer edit my graph. That's fine. I just need to optimize these graphic elements. Notice I have a whole bunch of new groups now. And really all I want to do is isolate the black line and the white line separate from our XY axes and the text. So I'm going to go ahead and create two new layers. And if we click on this third group here and toggle the visibility off and on, you can see not much is happening. Let me go to the next layer. Aha, it's this third group from the bottom. I'm going to click and drag that up to layer 3. And I'll close my chart for the time being and open up layer 3. And notice I have a group in here. And within the group, I actually have a black line and a white line. So let's click on the bottommost group and I'll drag that up to layer 4. And then for this other group here, I'll click and drag right on top of layer 3. And now I've kind of optimized the layers. If I open up my group option here, you can see I've got two elements that make this up. And the second one I'm not seeing very clearly because if I press the space bar, I can grab the hand tool and move over. And here you can see I've got this legend. So let's make sure we have our direct selection tool and click and drag to select our text and these legend lines. So when I select them, I'll press delete, not once, but twice to make sure any extra points have been deleted. Okay, let's look at layer 3 here really quickly. Under layer 3, I've got a group, and under the group, I've got 4 layers. If I click on my selection target, you'll see each individual line is a separate layer. So what I need to do is actually combine all of these into one object. So here, I'll press the space bar to move my hand tool over, just so we can see the entire line. With the target enabled on that group, I'm going to go up under Object and go down to Path and say Join. This will join all 4 layers together and form one line. I'm going to click on the sublayer and drag it right to the top of layer 3, and now I can toggle the visibility of layer 3 off and on, and that's clearly the black line. So let's double click on layer 3 and call this black line. For layer 4, we're going to repeat the same process. Let's open the triangle, look at the group here, and you notice within the group I've got 4 sublayers. So here I'm just going to click on the group above, make its selection target, then go up under Object, Path, and choose Join. Now I can just click on this bottommost layer and drag it up to the top of layer 4, and we'll double click on layer 4 and we'll call this white line. So we're almost ready, but we have to optimize our chart here. Now I'll click on the selection target for our chart, and what this will do is select the axes as well as the text elements. So for these text elements, I just want to go up under the Type menu and choose Create Outlines. Now all my text is outlined, but I still have an issue because I can't select this line or one of the axes lines. So I'll press A on my keyboard just to make sure I have my direct selection tool active, and I'm going to go ahead and press Command- to zoom out a little bit. I'll click and drag a lasso just around this base axis. And then I'll hold down Shift and click and drag around the vertical axis here. And notice I accidentally selected my black and white lines. So here, let's just lock those layers off so we don't have anything accidentally selected. So notice our axis is still selected here. So I can go up under Object and choose Expand. And I'll expand both the fill and the stroke. So when I click OK, you can see if I zoom in, Command plus or Control plus on Windows, I now actually have an outline shape for these axes. So I'll press Command minus and just zoom out here, grab my hand tool, and there is one more thing we need to do to optimize this. We don't need this blue background, so I'll unlock it and click it and drag it to the trash. So let's go ahead and unlock our black line and our white line and collapse each one of those layers. We're still left with our chart. If I turn that off and on, that's my X, Y, and my text. So now we're actually ready to go ahead and create animation. But what I need to do is actually save this file. So I'll go up under File and choose Save As. And we can go ahead and actually save this into the Assets folder under the AI folder. And I'll actually call this 04_02 line graph underscore C4D. So once I click Save, it's going to give me the ability to save it in an older version. So I want to click on that pull down and make sure to save it in Illustrator 8 or older. So now when I click OK, it's going to give me one more warning to say that some of the more modern tools may not work. I'll just click OK. Because all in all, I just want to make sure I have my white line separate from my black line, which is also separate from the XY axes on this chart.